Friday, everybody. It's March 20th, and we're going to go all the way back to 1721 for our day in Texas history today. Now, a little background before we get to it. Spain had control of Texas. Obviously, hopefully you know that. If you've been to Six Flags, before they took them all down, you saw the Six Flags over Texas, Spain, Mexico, the Texas flag, the United States flag, France, and the Confederate flag. But Spain had control over Texas at this point, and Mexico. It was called New Spain, all that kind of lumped together. There was Texas, or Tejas, as they called it, but it was the more eastern portion of what we now call Texas, near Crockett area. If you've ever been to the Davy Crockett National Forest, the original East Texas mission is there, San Francisco de los Tejas. Anyway, so the Spanish had control of Texas, right? And so at one point they had missions in East Texas. They were attempting to convert the Native Americans to Christianity and all these kind of things, and they wanted, really and truly, it was just a way to have the control over the land. They wanted to make sure that they had control over land, because with missions came what was called a presidio, which is like a military establishment. Anyway, so for a time, Spain had left East Texas, and East Texas was empty. Well, the French started making their way into East Texas from Louisiana, and so, as I tell my students in class, it's just like a young child, right? If a young child leaves a toy sitting, let's just use Mary Faith for an example. If Mary Faith leaves her baby doll over in a corner and doesn't touch it for a couple of days or something, and then Judah, after that couple of days, goes over, and these are my kids, by the way, if you don't know that, if you're just new to the program or something, or new to my life. Anyway, if Judah goes over and begins playing with that baby doll, well, what is in Mary Faith's brain? What's happening? Well, first of all, that's my toy. I'm going to play with it. And so that's what happens when France begins to make their way into East Texas. Spain has left East Texas alone, and Texas in general alone, and we got it, but we're not going to do anything to keep it. And France makes their way in like, hey, this is free land, it's wide open. There's some Native Americans here, but we'll just take land from them because that's what we do. That's what all explorers do. Anyway, so then Spain becomes like that little child. Oh no, they're playing with my toy. I want my toy back. And so Spain then sends Marquis de Aguayo to Texas. And so on March 20th, 1721, Aguayo crosses the Rio Grande into Texas on his expedition to make his way to East Texas to kind of reclaim land of East Texas. Now you're like, why does this even matter to Texas history? Well, first of all, the main reason is when he got to East Texas, he did first of all, he made friends with Native Americans on this eastern side of the Trinity River. Also, the French who had begun coming into Texas, he convinced them to go back to Natchitoches, Louisiana. And so now the French leader, Louis Saint-Denis, that sounds French, right? He agreed, but he left some of his men in Texas. And even eventually, you're going to see, if you study more of Texas history, you'll see that in the years after this, even the Spanish began to they set up a mission in Louisiana, near Natchitoches, called Los Aires. But anyway, we're not talking about that today. But the main reason that this is important is when Aguayo came, he came to East Texas. Now, this is months and year later. At that time in Texas, there were only 2 missions. By the time Aguayo's expedition was over, after about a year, there were 10 missions in Texas. And so that managed to firm up Spain's claim to Texas. And it also, for the last time, not for the last time, but it also was never disputed by France that they owned any part of Texas. Eventually, big kind of a back and forth with France, like, oh, we want a part of Texas, we don't want a part of Texas, and this was the last ditch effort for them, and they were out officially, so you could officially take the French flag down from over Texas. If you know anything about before the 1600s, LaSalle actually accidentally found Texas and set up a failed establishment settlement in Texas. But that was pretty much all France had of Texas. Maybe about what was it, 5 or 6 years with LaSalle, and a little bit there with Saint Denis sneaking into East Texas, but then moving out really quickly. And so I've always been like, we should just have 5 flags over Texas instead of 6. But anyway, that's just me. So hope you have a great weekend coming up. Enjoy, play some board games with your family, wash your hands, don't touch your face like I do. I think in all these videos I've touched my face 5 or 6 times. See, there you go again, because that beard is just out of control. Anyway, enjoy your weekend. Keep tuning in, keep sharing. I'm enjoying getting to do this. It's fun. Hopefully you get some laughs, but hopefully you learn a little bit out of that as well. Thanks.